Welcome to Hot Topics Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tony Breedlove, joined by the hottest team in talk radio, with co-hosts Jerry Kelly, Roland G., Sav Young, our featured co-host, Pastor Ray Williams, Hot Topics Talk Radio producer, Yvonne Baker, and the hottest street team to capture the world, headed by Lucretia Smith. We invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome to Hot Topics Talk Radio. I'm your host, Tony Breedlove, and we are broadcasting live from the West Coast, live from Las Vegas, Nevada, joined by the hottest team in radio. Yvonne Baker, producer, Roland D., co-host. Sav Young is sitting out tonight, I think. Jerry Kelly is also still out. And Pastor Ray, you never know when he's going to pop up. Hey, Gene. Hey, Roland.
Hey, Tony. How you guys doing?
Hey, D.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We doing okay. I was sitting here trying to figure out why I was not hearing you, or you hearing me, is because I had things unplugged.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Oh, my gosh. So I hope you didn't hear Yvonne scolding me. Why are you making so much noise? So, tonight we've got a show lined up I think that's going to be really, really interesting. Really interesting. At the top of our hour, we're going to be talking to famed attorney, Tom Gehring. And we're going to be talking to him about his latest book, Settle It and Be Blessed. And got Yvonne over here on background sounds with her mic up or her speakers up. So anyway, we're going to be talking to Tom Gehring relating to his book, Settle It and Be Blessed. And we'll talk about some of the things that he's great at, and that happens to be litigation, law. And hopefully answering some questions that we have of our own. And then we're going to be getting into the Donald Sterling issue. You know, we've got Donald Sterling in the hot seat tonight, so that's what we're going to get into.
Yeah, I can't wait to get on that.
Oh my!
I got notes and everything. I've been taking since yesterday.
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely ready for that.
It's hot. It's totally hot. But before we get started, let me remind everyone who is listening in. If you're listening in by phone, we really thank you for joining us tonight. If you're listening in by way of our chat room, we thank you also for listening in. Our publicist just said hello. Hey, Gina. But if you are listening in by way of the chat room and you wish to join us by phone and listen in by phone or even comment, we welcome you to call in. The number is 646-200-3148. The number again is 646-200-3148. Remember to press the number 1 on your keypad so that I know that you are ready to speak. Again, we are waiting on our special guest, Mr. Tom Gehring, high-powered attorney, Tom Gehring, to talk about his book, Settle It and Be Blessed. While we're waiting on Tom, why don't we get into some of the issues? You know, this has been an interesting couple of days. You know, with the story of Donald Sterling coming out, I think we all know now who he is, Donald Sterling, the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers, and this latest scandal. But it has been a whirlwind of stories that have hit since early this week. Actually, I think the stories, did it start hitting Saturday night or Sunday? Or started hitting Sunday? I think it was Sunday night. And when this story broke, and TMZ broke the story, I mean, it was unbelievable. But we want to get into that. 310-264, Tom?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you great. We were waiting on you.
Hi, Tony. I was actually listening. I'm not sure why I didn't have the right button or something, but I've heard your whole intro and everything, so I'm good to roll.
Well, we can't get things started until we have the high-powered, famed attorney Tom Gehring in the house.
Oh, please. I'm gonna throw that back at you. High-powered radio talk show host Tony Breedlove.
And they all think you're joking, right? So,
well, in my business, if you're a good trial lawyer, the last thing you want anybody to know you as is a high-powered trial lawyer or litigation. It's like, the good guys are the quiet ones that just get the job done.
Well, I don't know, Tom. I mean, you're making some noise. And for those that don't know your history, I understand now you've been an attorney for roughly right at 30 years or right over 30 years.
Oh, mercy. And it's terrible, Tony. I've been a trial lawyer for 35 years. And now, don't anybody here hold that against me.
That is not terrible. That's a wonderful thing. That means that we've got great legal advice out there. That's what that means.
Well, lawyers like me say I've been sentenced to 35 years so far, It's a challenging job, I'll tell you, but I'm blessed. I represent and help a lot of really good people, so I like that.
Oh, yeah, because I was doing a little background on you. A little background. And that's what we like to do here at Hot Topic. And it's not to put anybody in the hot seat. It's just to make sure that we represent the people that are special guests. So we just want to make sure that we give them the right stuff. Now, first let's get into this book, because I took a couple of excerpts from this book. Right. And I was astounded by some of the things that I had taken out. Settle it and be blessed. Now, I understand that was it your colleague that had encouraged you to write this book?
Well, a lot of my friends did, because, if you've tried a lot of cases and you've lived your life at the crossroads of human conflict, and if I may say it this way, and you're a good person, you just build and build and build a heart to want people to settle the challenges in their lives, the problems in their lives, the lawsuits in their lives, the personal addictions, anything in their lives. And that's the whole book of Settle It and Be Blessed is about, how to settle the stuff, the big stuff, all the way down to the little problems, habits, concerns, addictions, etc.
Yep. Right. Now, before you actually wrote the book, I mean, how did that play into, this becoming a title? Because you've handled some really huge cases.
Well, and in all honesty, I don't know your audience too well, but I'm an old Christian, and Settle It and Be Blessed comes straight out of Genesis chapter 13. From my perspective, it's one of the first things God handled in Genesis, and it's the whole story of chapter 13 is really basically a quarrel that was going on between Abraham and his nephew Lot, and basically how Abraham came in and settled it quickly, which means without delay. And the story goes on to say how it was right after that God came in and really blessed Abraham. And so it's Settle It and Be Blessed. And after 30-plus years of trying cases and helping people settle their stuff, I truly, truly believe, and I am a witness to the fact, that the one that reaches out to try and settle something in their life, a problem, a dispute with a spouse, something like that, is the one that's blessed. And if you don't believe in God, fine, then you're still going to be blessed by the world or good karma, whatever you want to say.
Right, the atmosphere of God.
Yes.
So can you use the concept of this for any legal dispute? Because I know that you have dealt in couples, with couples who are going through disputes when we're talking about divorce or even child custody. Can you use that same premise?
Absolutely, positively. The whole thing about settle it and be blessed, one of the main points is settle matters quickly, which means shortly, without delay, soon. And the whole point of that is, believe me, after all these years, I see that people just spend money on lawyers and money fighting and money, et cetera, et cetera. Settle matters quickly. And I also mean to say, settle matters quickly, comma, the solving will come later. Just get it settled. So in a divorce situation, just get it settled quickly, whatever it is. In fact, why is it that when you settle matters quickly, sometimes the solving does come later and the couple gets back together because you settled it quickly. You didn't fight for so long. You didn't fight over every little thing. And why keep our group, so to say, the lawyers, rolling in the money from your dispute?
Mm-hmm.
And I
so let me ask you this question, Tom, because when you say that you want to settle it, me, myself, or just any individual who is going through a legal dispute, what if that's not in your hand? It's in the hand of the attorney who doesn't move as quickly as we want them to move.
Well, I talk a lot in my book about the fact that you be the peacemaker. You be the peacemaker. It really does start with you, the person. When you do a lot of, when I do live radio out here in Los Angeles, for example, one of the first questions is, well, wait a second, I want to settle, but the other person doesn't want to settle. Well, look, you start with you being the peacemaker and have that settle it state of mind. All these years I found that if you have that state of mind, you have it from the beginning, you reach out constantly to get things resolved, they will be resolved. They will be. You get it in your system. You be the peacemaker. Again, I hate to go to the Beatitudes if you have people that are agnostic, but you are called to be the peacemaker, and you're the one that will be blessed. And I just think that's the way it works. I often say to my clients, I say, you don't qualify to win it unless you've done everything to settle it. If you stop and think about that, you really don't qualify to win it unless you've done everything to settle it. I mean, you really should do everything you can to settle this matter. And, the whole point of Genesis 13 is that, Abraham should have been the one as the uncle to his nephew Lot. He should have been one that had the first choice, should have with seniority, but he didn't. He's the one that said, hey, look, you decide and I'll take the other side of what you don't want. And it was Abraham that was blessed and everything multiplied. And as you remember all the stuff about the stars in the sky, your offspring will be, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
I'm about to turn 60, and I've seen these blessings over and over and over again, where a spouse will say, honey, look, here's what half do you want, or what portion do you want, or how can we resolve this? And so they think they maybe suppose he gave up a little bit more. You're going to be blessed. It's going to come around, and you're going to do much better. Just you be the peacemaker.
So in the case, Tom, of, say, a couple who is in a marital dispute, going through a divorce, and say, for instance, you have someone that has come to you for representation, and this person is just, biting at the bit at their spouse, do you refer them to the book and refer them to Genesis 13 when you're trying to get them to understand, to settle this matter?
What I'm usually trying to do is to get people to change their heart and understand sacrifice. I often say the one that sacrifices nothing learns and discerns nothing. I try to assess whether they're willing to sacrifice something to get resolution, to bring it to a close. Again, the one that sacrifices nothing learns and discerns nothing. They're always the ones that have assessed what they should get out of the situation, and they want that plus more. Well, you might as well show up to the lawyer's offices and say, look, I'm just going to keep paying you till I get what I get and I deserve and whatever. I try to measure their willingness to sacrifice first, because then they're going to learn and grow, and this thing is not going to happen to them again. They're going to move on. They're going to grow. There'll be good counselors to other people that come along. So I'm always trying to get people to understand how sacrifice will get them where they need to be to get this thing resolved.
That's wonderful.
It's really actually very simple. In any dispute, if somebody's listening right now, they're in a dispute of some sort, I would say to them, look, start by spending some time tonight meditating, praying, whatever you do, and measure your willingness to sacrifice. The measure of your sacrifice is the measure of, whether you're going to get this thing resolved. Measure your sacrifice. The blessings come from sacrifice. If there's someone out there that wants something settled, but they're not willing to sacrifice anything, then they're going to have problems their whole life, worse problems, and they're never. You got to measure your sacrifice.
There's a question that's coming from our chat room. Does settle it mean embrace the same craziness as before?
No. Never, ever, never. There's certainly either myself or a good counselor. It never means capitulation or anything like that. No, it really doesn't. I mean, there are times when you have to reach out and say, let's get this resolved. Let's go to a counselor. I'm a big believer in counselors. I'm an old Christian, but I love counselors. I'm not telling people to go to a corner and pray a lot. No.
Right.
A great counselor is just phenomenal. And if both people go to that counseling or counseling sessions and are willing to sacrifice to get something resolved, they will get it resolved. It's hard for a lawyer with a good heart to sit there, to have a client that, no, I'm not going to give up anything. This is what I deserve, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, then we're just going to fight forever, and we'll let a judge decide. I often say it. I think Irving Younger first said, all trials are nothing more than a complicated way of reaching a decision. I mean, in other words, it's unnecessary. It's just not necessary.
Right.
So I would say, go ahead, Tony.
Or you can settle it like one of our chat room participants, Lorelei. She says you can settle it by just pushing them into the Grand Canyon. And then figure out how to move on from there. So. That's the
transition to the Don Sterling thing, because I love to say, a lesson learned early is a great blessing, and a lesson learned too late a great punishment. And in other words, especially when you're younger and you're going through times and you're starting to learn about different things that are, let's say, bad about yourself, or a tendency to want to push somebody into the Grand Canyon. I mean, the transition to the Don Sterling thing is, look, the guy's 80 years old. Where was he at 10, 15, 20 years old when growing up where he grew up? He should have known, hey, wait a second. Okay, I tend to refer to God, but, refer to whatever. There's obviously people of all kinds of colors and talents and whatever on this wonderful, varietal earth of ours. Maybe it's a good idea that I love everybody.
Right.
It's not based on the color of our skin. What happened in his early years that he missed that boat? What lessons did he miss?
Oh boy. Because I was going to ask you what you thought about that. That's where counseling was needed.
It's like the quote I say in my book: "A lesson learned early, a great blessing; a lesson learned too late, a great punishment." Are you kidding? At 80 some odd years old, he's still. I don't care if he's in the privacy of his kitchen. Is he really talking like that?
Yeah.
I'm not.
But Tom,
I'm not that.
Know that it's out there.
Go ahead,
Sweetie,
Tony.
You know it's out there.
Unfortunately. Oh yeah.
You know it's out there.
Well, the lady, look, I'm not real comfortable with somebody that would secretly, let's say, tape a conversation in a private. I'm not comfortable with that. I admit that. But what is the guy doing is sitting in his kitchen rambling on like that?
Right.
That, I go back to, again, as an old Christian, those secret sins, they always come out. Somewhere, he's, 80 years old? And, It's a horrible, great punishment. If you were sitting in front of me now, I'd say, Don, what happened, man? What happened when you were 10, 15, 20, 25? What if somebody's listening now, and let's say you're 25 years old, and you got a little prejudice, or you got a little this, or a little hatred, and you better deal with it now. Learn the lesson early. Yeah. It's a great blessing. At 80 years old, this is going to be the only thing he's basically ever known for. That's it.
And you know what, Don? I really believe that in a lot of these kind of cases, I think that with the example of Donald Sterling, is that's learned behavior, and somewhere along the line he didn't learn or unlearn that behavior or those beliefs.
Well said, and the message for us mediators and people that like to see peace is, okay, what he did was horrible, and the punishment, we could talk about the punishment and say it was perfect or was right, but I would still say, again, as a mediator, I'd still look at everybody and say, okay, but what little secret issue might you have, or what little thought? Again, as an old Christian, I say we're supposed to take all thoughts captive to the knowledge of Jesus, etc. But still, my point is, it's still a lesson. Of course, we're not, hopefully none of us are like him, but still, something went wrong that he would just spend the whole life with this stuff chitter-chattering in the back of his mind, and that you could run a little recorder in the kitchen and pick up that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a total shame, and it's so sad. And, what you would probably want to say is, there it is. It's out there. It's out there.
Awful. Well, I do have another question that's coming from the chat room, question or statement. It says, I am Christian. I've prayed, gotten before a counselor, but I have had no resolution. Now I'm inclined to accept that it is what it is. I want to get along and just help each other, to move forward. So we can, I'm trying to move my screen here. What was the rest of it? So we can maintain a friendship. Oh, that's my producer, Tom. So we can maintain a friendship. So what would you tell this person?
Well, we're constantly faced with people that or that just can't get out of their bad habits. In my practice, in my career, in my mediation, if someone comes to you and says, I've had this problem for a year or 2 or 3, guys like me and some of my buddies out there that spend their life doing this, we settle disputes that have been going on for 9 years, let's say, in one day. Because we're able to see what the issue is and what's holding them back. I'll give you one example. So you're sitting in the mediation, let's say, and it's a family of 4. They've been fighting for 10 years, let's say, generational issues sometimes and whatever. Why is it that sometimes you can settle the whole mess in one day? Why? When you study it, you realize that this person or that person, I have a chapter that says settle all the it's in your life. So I imagine with this person, whoever it is, I'd say we're always searching in these big disputes for the other things that they should settle. In other words, you got this big dispute, and the real issue they never put on the table. I say settle all the it's because let's say they never wanted to be a lawyer. They always wanted to be something else. They always wanted to at least try acting, but Dad told them to go into such and such or whatever. If somebody's listening and they've been in some sort of dispute for, let's say, a year or 2, I'd say, okay, I know probably if I heard this thing, I'd say, okay, what are the it's in your life that you're not settling? Some sort of selfishness, maybe some sort of addiction, maybe you've never done the exercising you keep promising you're doing, your eating habits, it could be anything, or, if it's a male, looking at porn on the web or something, I would probably say, a good counselor or good lawyer, especially like me that does this, we would find the it's that are causing this thing to not get resolved. Sometimes when a mediation comes to me, the supposed problem is not the problem. You're digging into the deeper things. The person that always really wanted to be a writer and they're stuck doing wills and trusts, or the person or whatever. Or, I admit too, and like Ezra Pound said, like the slow cooling of the bathtub water, our love doth faded. I mean, maybe we do have to deal with the fact that the love has faded. And things need to be done. That's why I say settle all the issues. Normally when you find a dispute that has not been resolved, that it's dragged on, there's other issues, and counseling has to get you to those issues and get those issues resolved, and then suddenly the problem goes away. I often say, like I say, settle matters quickly, the solving will come later. And sometimes you do have to settle things quickly and then start looking for the solving side of it.
Yeah. I like that, Tom. I like that.
Well, I'm telling you, the funny thing is, Tony, that a lot of us don't face up to some of the stuff that's been in our life a long time. Let's say, we don't get up early enough. Why do we sleep in every morning to 8 o'clock? And why did this? I mean, sometimes it can be little things like that. Right.
Wow. That's Tom Gehring, man. He's a deep dude. Tom Gehring is a deep dude. So, Tom, where can my listeners find your book? Can you tell them a little about it? I can go ahead and I can put the link in the chat room.
Yeah, it's just Amazon.com. If they just look up Tom Gehring or Settle It and Be Blessed, there it is, Amazon.com.
All right, and I'm posting it right now in the chat room. And you know what's wonderful about that Amazon is that you can get it on Kindle. So that's how I was able to get some of that book.
It's real easy.
Oh, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, Tom, what's next? What's next? I mean, are you touring the book?
Yeah, but I've got I have a new book coming out within a couple months. In fact, I've read it, I've written it, I've edited it, I've done everything, and it's just waiting for me to finish up a couple big cases I'm on right now, and I'll publish that and then run around the country speaking a little bit more and stuff. So that's my little goal in life.
And before I let you go, I had two more questions for you. I have two more because I found it interesting. In one of the areas of your book, there was an excerpt. You were representing a man by the name of Harry Goldberg, and we know him as being in the industry of radio.
That is correct.
I found it interesting that in some of that excerpt, this guy actually brought a gun into the courtroom.
Oh, yeah, I read it.
And he was actually going to shoot people if he had lost his case. I mean, how do you turn that around? And I mean, I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, and of course you're dating me because of course that's before the days of the metal detectors and everything. I'll tell you, in the book I talk a lot about, the subtitle of the book is When You're in the Fight of Your Life. And so many people in hard cases feel that their life is on the line. And that's why you hear about people getting shot outside the courthouse or somebody doing stuff like that, because we do have to remember that, and we all know those circumstances, but when you live at the crossroads of human conflict in these courthouses, you know that a lot of people feel, and sometimes, frankly, it does seem like they are in the fight of their life. So, So what I talked about Harry Goldberg in the book was that, we used various different tools to get him out of the anger zone, to get him out of the different pain he was going through. And, I talked about maybe using the Beatitudes. I talked about how he needs to be the peacemaker. I talked about things he could say, and it gets your mind off of, it really isn't the fight of your life, and to be honest, it is a spiritual battle. And again, if you're not Christian, it's at least a mind battle, how you think and brood over things and things like that. And so that's all we did. I mean, when he decided to turn it over to God, or someone's listening, they want to turn it over to, just to love, let's say, then he was okay, and that was the end of it. That was it. He got out of his zone of anger, and he turned it over to God, and that was the end of that issue, the problem, the challenge, and it made it easier to go down the path, to do whatever he could to resolve it. That case had a long history of, a trial and then settlement issues after it, and all of it worked out. And to this day, if I got to know you better, I could say some of the adversaries are some of my friends still. 20 some odd plus years later, they're my friends. They were my adversaries and whatever. We're all still friends. It's interesting how it all played out so wonderfully. But we do have to remember that there are fights of your life going on out there, and you've got to figure out a better way to deal with it than it, not only violently, but how about yelling at your spouse or yelling at your friend or even yelling at your... What can you do to get, closer to God? I carry around prayer cards in my pocket, for example. Okay, if somebody doesn't believe that, how about some other good sayings or sayings about love or something like that?
Right. Wow. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that you had the Goldberg incident in there. I was like floored.
Well, and rightfully so, because it was a long time ago in the mid '80s when before that stuff, and I had to deal with it. But we deal with that. I mean, most trial lawyers deal with that even today. I'm sure I can tell you the fact that there's metal detectors doesn't still solve the underlying problem of the potential for violence. It might not happen in the courtroom, though. It might happen on the street. These incidents we've all heard about out, even outside of courthouses and stuff. And so, when all of us lawyers and counselors, I'm very involved with the Dream Center charity downtown Los Angeles. All of us are trying to diffuse situations. I mean, even a dispute with a spouse is a situation that we have to diffuse, right?
Right.
Maybe it won't get violent, but arguing is not good either. Resentment's not good. Hatred's not good. Hurting somebody's feelings is not good. I think that's why Jesus said, settle matters quickly, because, without delay, soon, which is the opposite, by the way, of hastily, which means, in essence, superficial or fearfully. I'm never going to suggest, and the Bible doesn't say do it, hastily, because that's fearful. That's superficially. No, just do it quickly, without delay. If you're in an argument with your spouse, you know what the Bible says. It says, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Get to it now. Get to it. Settle it now.
Wow. And you know what? And because we're going to segue into the second part of our show, Tom, with the case of Donald Sterling, do you think that he'll settle quickly and be blessed by selling that gene?
Well, I'm not sure what Donald still has to settle. He's, when you're in a business like his, I admit I don't really know the NBA, bylaws and all of that kind of stuff, and I'm not familiar with all of that. You and I know what Donald Sterling has to really settle. You know it. You know exactly what he has to settle it, and it's something that he's got to go to his own little prayer closet or something and get it settled.
That's if he prays, Tom. That's if he prays.
That's it. Exactly. And if he doesn't, I feel badly for him, because he's not his own good God, right? We know that. There's something, if he doesn't believe in God, then the God that he does believe in is not good. It isn't working out for him.
It's not working out at all.
Right? Wouldn't you say? I mean, okay, fine. You don't believe in God, Donald. Okay, good. Well, then, clearly from the outsiders, it kind of looks like you believe in some God somewhere. It's a small G.
Something.
And he or it or whatever is not serving you.
Oh, yeah.
So he needs to go to his prayer closet, take up meditation, whatever, and because something's got to be resolved in his head and his mind and his heart before it makes everything else a little bit irrelevant. Whether he sells the team or not, whether he whether he reconciles with his wife. Isn't he married or something? And
Yeah,
whatever.
Well,
you know,
they're in litigation right now.
yeah, what's he doing with the
try and
mistress?
settle
You know,
this down.
and in public, for God's sakes, right, Tony? I mean, he's got a mistress sit next to him publicly in games. This is a guy that needs to spend a little time with God. If he doesn't believe in God, then Don, you got to figure some stuff out here. Cause
well, we got to figure out how we're going to get you to see Donald, because I think the Don needs you.
Well,
I really do. Because you can help him in both areas.
Don doesn't need me. Don doesn't need me. He needs God. But if by slight chance I direct him that way and he takes the lead, then yes, I'd be honored.
Oh yeah, tell him that Hot Topics Talk Radio sent you.
Absolutely.
Because we know he needs some help.
Yeah, he actually does. I mean, you could. You know what's interesting about this, from a mediator standpoint, is the girl takes something, I guess, in his home or something. But wait a second, he also does some pretty serious public things. Just sitting there in public with his mistress is sort of another type of pronouncement to the world. It's a way of saying that certain lifestyles are okay. Well, if everybody did what he did just in public, this would not be a real good world. Are we all supposed to? What if all men just said, hey, that's pretty cool. You know, I know I'm married or I've been married or whatever. I'm just going to hang out in public with my mistress like this? Oh, man. That's I mean, whether it be private or public, he's not the example that, speaking as a man, that, we want our fellow men to look up to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. Oh, my gosh. Tom, it has been a true pleasure, and I'm really hoping that you will come back and you will sit with us and talk further about everything that you're doing. I want to hear about when that book comes out, because I need to have you back. I really need to have you back.
It'd be an honor.
And I hope you'll do. Tom Gehring, everybody, you can find his book, Settle It and Be Blessed, on Amazon.com. So head on over to Amazon.com/Settle It and Be Blessed. Tom Gehring. Fabulous, fabulous book. So get out there. I'm actually going to post the book on our website. We do have a literary page on our website. And if you would allow us that honor, we will post that, absolutely. And we'll make sure that the link is directed back to you, to Amazon, so that you know that it's coming from us.
All right. Thank you, Tony.
All right. Okay. Well, if you want, you can hang out and listen to the show, because I know that these people are chomping at the bits, ready to talk about Donald, and we're going to tear them apart tonight. A little bit.
All right. All right. Well, Tony, I've got to be in court tomorrow, so if that's okay, can I sign off now? But I'd love being with you here.
You sure can, and God bless you. Thank you so much.
God bless you, Tony. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good night. That was attorney Tom Gehring. You guys got to head over to Amazon.com and check out that book. Again, it is available on Kindle, so that's for easy reading, so you don't have to flip pages. You can just thumb through and move your mouse. Oh, boy. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come on back, and we're going to get into Donald Sterling tonight. We got some updates that Yvonne was able to pull up. So we're going to come right back. Hot Topics Talk Radio.